me do that. All right, fantastic.
My background, because it's not.
All right, so since it's a short meeting, we're going to go straight to the point. The meeting itself, or the interview itself, is about your background a bit, as well as a bit about your achievements, as well as more about wealth creation, in particular as Africans, and then just a bit about UCT Online High School, as well as the partnership between yourself as well as Bristol University. All right, fantastic. So, Ikamalam Lonwabo Marele. I'm the founder and CEO of Successful Journals. It's a digital wealth magazine, as well as a media production company. It's one of a few Black-owned wealth magazines in South Africa, but slowly but surely we're trying to tap into the rest of the African market. And I think it's an honor and privilege to have you on board today.
Thank you very much, Lonwabo.
Prof. So just to begin, who is Prof before Prof? The background.
Well, I'm South African, born in Pretoria, in a place that doesn't exist anymore because of the Group Areas Act. And I grew up in a village of Marapyane, as well as in the township of Ga-Rankuwa. So I'm really a township kid, Black to the core, through and through. I got to where I am. It's a huge surprise. It wasn't expected. It wasn't supposed to be according to the laws of the country born in South Africa, and so it's a surprise, a welcome surprise, and I say that because there are many who I started with who were basically failed by the system. There could have been more of us, but there's just me at the moment and a few others, and hopefully more will be coming. So in short, that's me.
What inspired you to take on this journey? I know that it's a deep story in terms of it's just a few that managed to become successful or success. But what inspired you? What made you keep on pushing?
You know, I grew up in a family where excellence was preached to us from when we were young. My dad always said, you've got to be excellent in whatever you do. And he made going to university a requirement. And he said he will do all he can, even if they don't get home, to make sure that we go to university. And so it was first that desire to achieve excellence in what I do. But secondly, choosing education as an area or the context of what I love is my love for young people. It's my for young people, for development, and this is the one place you can make a difference. I mean, if there's anyone who says they want to make a difference, but they don't want to connect with young people, then it's not going to happen. If you want to create the future, you want to shape it, and you want to make it different in this world, you've got to connect with young people. And so that's what drew me to this place. I often reflect that I could have been in corporates and making a lot more money, but I'm not sure if I'll be as happy if I had chosen that route, because I wouldn't be in a space to shape the minds of young people and influence positively as higher education and the space of education in general allows one to do. So that's sort of the magnet.
Fantastic. Prof, just a bit more about your appointment from UNISA to UCT as the deputy and then the Vice Chancellor. That success itself, just a bit about that journey.
All right, so I mean, maybe some people might not know that actually I spent 12 years at WITS as an academic. So my academic career started at WITS. UNISA was an unexpected detour, if you like. It wasn't planned. I didn't expect it to succeed because it is a different institution. And anyone who knows me will know that I'm very passionate about research, and UNISA is not a research intensive institution. So I left VETS at the end of 2007 to start at UNISA at the beginning of 2008. And I left VETS because VETS is like home. It's like, you know, when you grow up at home and they never see you as a grown-up, you're always a kid. And I loved VETS, and I still love VETS today. But I had to leave because I realized if I don't leave, I will always be a kid. Even when I do something amazing, very few people would believe that it's me who did it. They would always give credit to my mentor, my supervisor, or whoever. Because I was a kid, and that's how kids are at home. And that's why we grow up and go and find our own places. And so going to UNISA was taking a deep dive and saying, I'm gonna go out there. It's an opportunity that emerged. Professor Pichana recruited me to apply for a job of a dean of College of Science, Engineering and Technology. I wasn't looking for a job, so I wasn't aware. And I had actually been headhunted by another university at that time to be Deputy Vice Chancellor at that university. It was out of Gauteng. And so Professor Pichana sold me a dream. He didn't tell me everything about the challenges that will be there, but he sold me a dream, you know, a promised land. And I loved the dream. I knew it wasn't going to be easy. I knew it was a deep dive, but I decided this is time to grow up. And I decided to go to UNISA. It was a worthwhile detour because I got there as Dean of College of Science, Engineering and Technology, which is like the faculty.
Yeah.
And it was challenging. The college at that time was the least performing. It was the least cooperative. The Vice Chancellor couldn't even go to visit the faculty, that College of Science, Engineering and Technology, because I was told they would boo him. They were due to move to the Florida campus to start the science campus, but they didn't want to move. So I basically took a really deep dive, got into it, and they heard that I was from Johannesburg, and rumors started going around that I was hired to take them to Johannesburg, where they didn't want to go because Florida is in Johannesburg, which is where they were supposed to move to. So I went in there and did unusual things. I focused on the work because I felt that it cannot be. In many universities, the faculty of science, the faculty of engineering or computer science, those are the top performing places because, scientists are clear. Scientists are, they don't have, it could be, they're very easy with saying, this is the solution. So it was quite a surprise to find a space where the Faculty of Science wasn't successful. And I learned about the history, and I realized that it comes from the history, that lack of success. It's about leadership, and I decided to take it on with its challenges and my leadership style of being inclusive, of being consultative, but of being courageous and decisive, which I know some people do not like, but it's what's needed today. And within a year, the faculty turned around, and in the second year, the research productivity was going up. We were gaining a reputation in the university, and the staff had agreed to move to the science campus. And the way I'd done it is that I made them own that process, and I made them realize that actually this is an opportunity, it's not a punishment. And so they designed the laboratories themselves. I gave them an opportunity to meet with the architects, design the laboratories in the way that they want to have them. And so people own those laboratories. And so year number 2, they were in. Year number 3, the building started. And by that time, I mean, the whole university, by year number 3, you know, the whole university was amazed at what the faculty had become. We had improved our research performance, the number of rated scientists, our teaching, even our community engagement projects were up there. And so the job of when the job of the DVC research and innovation was started, there was no Deputy Vice Chancellor for Research and Innovation at UNISA before. And they decided to start that position. But before they started, there was another job at WITS. And so some people nominated me for the position of DVC research at WITS. And that was home. And so I started applying, and then Professor Pichana was still at UNISA, and I said to him, can I put you as my referee? He said, how can you even think of leaving? This place needs you. There's going to be a DVC research and innovation here. And I said to him, but you are leaving. Why should I stay? He was retiring that year. And he said to me, even if I'm leaving, this university needs you. The dream that you came here for will remain alive. And I stayed. And because he had said they're going to advertise, I decided to leave that UNISA job and applied for, to leave the WITS, applying for the DVC research job at WITS, and applied for the UNISA research innovation job at DVC. And I got that job and started in 2012. And that's the job that I did for 5 years. Amazing time I had, a tough time I had, a position, all sorts of things. But the big thing is I had a team that was willing to work with me, that understood what it means to work with a courageous, hardworking DVC who never sleeps. They ran and they did everything, but it's because people were hungry for success. And so I spent 5 years at UNISA. And in the 5th year, I realized I had moved the flywheel so much at UNISA to start that portfolio. Things were moving, and I thought, if I go on for the 2nd term at UNISA, people might be too tired. I have to leave. I thought, of course I can stay for the 2nd term. People loved what I was doing. People, you know, in faculty. So there's always detractors when you're in this job. But I felt I need to leave and go elsewhere and get a new challenge and start pushing a new flywheel and manage its new complexities. And I thought I want to be a Deputy Vice Chancellor Research in a research-intensive university. I have to mention that, by the way, even from the time I was Dean, even whilst I was DVC at UNISA, I had few approaches, about 3 approaches to apply for Vice Chancellor, or people nominating me for Vice Chancellor. And I turned them down. When I was Dean, I told them I don't want to jump being DVC. I want to get experience as being DVC. When I was DVC and they approached me, I was approached for a research-intensive university, one of the top performing universities. Actually, it was 2 of them. And the first one they approached me, I had just started as DVC at UNISA, and I said, I've just started. I don't want to take any other big role at the moment. I want to gain experience in this one. The second university, research-intensive university that approached me to apply for VC job, I said to them, I'd considered it, you know, and actually I did apply, and they shortlisted me after they cajoled and they had come to me, they called, whatever. And I decided to withdraw because it was in a city that I didn't want to live in. And so I wasn't sold on living in that city. So I said no, and I stayed. And so I decided I've got to be a DVC in a research-intensive university. And that's when the UCT opportunity came. And they interested me into it. They made me aware of it, and I came and contested for the job, and got that job. It was the same title job, but very different job because the institutions
so what have been the challenges and success at UCT during the time?
Well, I mean, I didn't stay too long as DVC. I mean, I stayed 18 months.
Yeah.
So you can't make so much difference in 18 months. But I initiated things. So one of the big successes was UCT never had full funding for postgraduate students. And I introduced that because my view was that when you have NSFAS as at undergrad, what do we think students do when they go to postgrad and they come to our university, particularly our students, they would go to other universities. So I said, we've got to use the same criteria for NSFAS to give funding to postgrad students so that we can attract students from low socioeconomic backgrounds to come and study postgrad studies at UCT. And I think that was a big success. The numbers of those students have grown. We continue to offer wraparound funding for postgrad students as NSFAS does.
All right, fantastic. And then your thoughts on wealth creation and how you practice wealth creation?
Of course, I realized, Lonwabo, I haven't told you that I then became VC, right? That's after VC. But I don't want your listeners to think that this was a number, this was done in 1960. So I took over the job of VC in 2018 July, and it's been a lot of successes. We can talk about that another time because that's not what you're interested in. You know, wealth creation, I think wealth creation is important. My view is wealth creation for what? I think just pursuing wealth without a purpose, my view is it is probably not sustainable. So for me is why wealth creation, for what, and how do you do it? There are many people who are wealthy, but the way they did it, I don't want to do it that way. And I think it's important that we talk about that to make sure that people pursue wealth in an ethical way. So it is important. And for me, you pursue wealth, you create wealth, not essentially for yourself, but for generations that will come after you, but also to influence and shape other lives that are less fortunate than you. That for me is my approach to, if one is going to pursue wealth, that's what I would do. Of course, I don't live my life with the purpose of pursuing wealth. Not because I don't think it's right. I think some people live their lives that way. That's not my pursuit in life. But I do realize that in my pursuit in life, and my pursuit is to make a difference through education, through development, through many other ways that I do. And I believe that if I pursue my passion in that way, I can create wealth. And that wealth is not just for me, it's for others who are less fortunate and generations after me. And of course, it's like I'm talking about wealth as money, but wealth can be other things. It can be knowledge, it can be heritage, it can be many other things. And that wealth that you create, whatever it is, my view is that it shouldn't be about you, because it won't be sustainable if it's just about you. It's going to be about others. And in that way, it will be sustainable. It will outlive you. Yeah. You will, even after you've passed on, it will be there and tell the story that is powerful for generations to come.
All right, and just a bit about the idea behind UCT Online High School.
This is again attending to a deep problem in our society that needs attention. Many people talk about the challenges that we have in basic education, but very few can want to do something that will make a difference. Of course, there are many ways to make a difference. We work with government to assist in that regard, and that takes time to make change at a systemic level. In the process, we are losing many learners, many of them in public schools, or many of them not getting accommodation in public schools, because our public schools in the big provinces, KZN, Western Cape, and Gauteng, the public schools are full. They can't accommodate every child who qualifies to be in high school. And so we thought, whilst government is working on that solution to that problem, because the solution to that problem, if you think about it, is build more schools. And it's not possible for government to build 1,000 schools in 1 year. We've seen this. It's not possible. And rather than just keep agitating, we can come in to assist. And so we started the online high school because it's of that reason, and because our massive transformative purpose, UCT, is to unleash human potential for a fair and just society. And we cannot unleash that human potential if we're only looking at ourselves, if we are only focus on us being excellent. Otherwise, we become an island of excellence. So we wanted to spread it into basic education. And the online high school is the best way. We're hitting multiple birds with one stone. Supporting government in making sure that more children get access to basic education, making sure that many learners who don't have qualified teachers can have access to quality teachers online, but thirdly, living up to our massive transformative purpose. And so the online high school is that idea. Many learners will get one teacher. Let's say, for example, the mathematics grade 12 teacher will teach many more learners than they would if they were in a one face-to-face school. They would teach more than the one class or 3 classes that they would have taught in a face-to-face school. So it's mainly to make that quality education accessible. And it's not just teaching. This is well thought through, and the principles are online if you go to uctonlinehighschool.com.
Fantastic. Prof, I'm just looking at time, so I'm just going to wrap it up in a few. The partnership between yourself as well as Bristol University, can you just tell us a bit more about that?
It's an incredible honor. I mean, if you like, I'm not even sure that I deserve it, but I'm incredibly honored that they chose me as their first illustrious visiting professor. I guess it's because of their interest in the work that I do, their interest in my role in education, and my passion for transformation at UCT. There are a lot of similarities between UCT and Bristol. And I think it's because of these 3 things, because of the passion that I have for UCT, the things that I deal with in terms of driving transformation are similar to what Bristol is dealing with, my work, and what they think I can bring to UCT, to Bristol. Bristol and UCT are very similar. We have a culture of, we have a history. We are located in cities that have a history of slavery. Many people in South Africa don't know about the history of slavery, but we have a history of slavery in this country. It was mainly in the Western Cape, here in Cape Town. And actually, where our upper campus is built, our upper campus, UCT upper campus is built on top of the graves of slaves. And the graves are still there. So there's some buildings when we started building, the bones of the remains, skeletal remains of the slaves emerged, and we covered it, and we wanted to do something with it. But many of our students come onto campus, they are not aware of the history of slavery. But of course, we also have a history, and so Bristol is also dealing with slavery. It was founded by slave masters on the funding that came from the slave trade. So they have a history of slavery. But we also have a history and recent history with how to deal with the past that doesn't make us proud. The Rhodes statue, for example, they have an issue with the statue, their own statue. And we brought the statue of Rhodes down. They brought the statue down. And we're still grappling with what do we do with the place where Rhodes stood. They did something with where the statue stood. they've put up a statue of a Black African American woman who had a unique disease of sort of a condition of growing cells outside of her body, and her cells were used in medical sciences to develop cure or remedies for cancer, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And they
what is the name, Prof? Do you perhaps have a name?
Let me get that. If you pause a little bit, because I wrote it down.
Okay.
So yeah. So the University of Bristol, we struggled with the Statue of Rhodes. They have had battles with the statue of the British slave trader, Edward Colston. And our statue was brought down after the Rhodes Must Fall protest in 2015. And in Bristol, the Colston statue was toppled and rolled into Bristol Harbour last year, actually. So it wasn't long. But the statue has been in contestation for a long time. So we've got these two issues also that are similar. But like us, we have stored the Rhodes statue in a secret place. They have stored the Colston statue in a secret place, right? And we are both still considering what to do with the statues. But what's important in the similarity is both institutions have made the decision, sort of have made peace with the past that divides us, and the statues have fallen. But what Bristol has done with the place where the Colston statue was is that they have installed a life-sized bronze statue that honors Henrietta Lacks. And Henrietta Lacks is an African-American woman whose cells were the first to multiply outside of the body. Wow. So her cells multiplied outside of her body. And that led to the development of polio vaccine, chemotherapy, gene mapping, in vitro fertilization, and cloning because of the use of her cells. But what's key here is that Henrietta Lacks' cells were taken without her knowledge or her consent. So her family was not told, and she wasn't told. And she had cancer. Okay, she had cervical cancer, and it's during surgery that they took the cells that grew out of the body, right? And then they used it. They used them to develop these treatments. And Henrietta died in 1951, and her family found out about the use of her cells by medical science only in 1975.
Sure.
And so it's like it's a brutalization of a Black woman, even invisibilization of her contribution that went on for many years. And Bristol University decided to put up the statue. By the way, the statue of Colston was not necessarily in the university, but in the city. But Colston is the slave master whose money was used to start the university and fund the university. Yeah. So they decided to put up, because Colston is their benefactor, whose statue had fallen, they decided to put up the statue of Henrietta Lacks. They put it this year in celebration of the 70th anniversary of Henrietta's cells being used in medical research.
And I wish to have a statue of you, Prof.
No, you can't do a statue of someone who's still alive, you know.
Oh,
but the issue is
you give someone the flowers while they're still alive.
Flowers, yes, not the statue.
Okay.
But the interesting thing is that Henrietta Lacks statue is the first statue of a Black woman. and in the UK, in the entire UK. And what they did, they also got another Black woman to make the statue.
Wow, it's amazing.
Yeah, so they have been very symbolic about Colston falling. So what rose? Like, I mean, think about it. A white man fell, a slave trader fell, and a Black woman. And imagine the story of Black African women in the US, slave. So a Black African woman, slave, who was sold into slavery, rose, and it was brought to life by another Black woman. I think it's a powerful message. And so there's these similarities between us and Bristol that are key. And we do, of course, also have a joint PhD program with them. And so that these things can only grow with the visiting professorship. I got to go, Lonwabo. I can see you're muted.
Fantastic. Prof, just before we go, you're a leader and an amazing motivator and mentor to a lot of young men, women, and girls that look up to you. Some words of encouragement and motivation for them in whatever journey that they're doing.
You know, my favorite line for motivation is that, work hard, never undermine the value of working hard. But secondly, don't apologize for who you are. It is your power. Don't apologize. There's a good reason you are who you are. Be who you are. Work hard, be who you are. And thirdly, stay the course. It doesn't matter how difficult it is. You get on the course, stay the course. Because if you jump ship, simply because things are hard, you are making it difficult for anyone who looks like you, who comes after you. Nobody will believe that they can stay the course. Everyone will say, there they are. They never stay the course. How can we even trust them with the task? So those are the three things.
Fantastic. Prof, thank you so much. Really appreciate this. And definitely the flowers in the statue, they're coming.
You get it wrong all the time. You know, flowers are nice, but they wilt. You know, I had my birthday on Monday. I've got beautiful roses here.
Happy birthday.
Let me show you. They are so beautiful, right? Look at that. Look at that. But the truth of the matter is, by the end of this week, they'll be dead.
True.
I'll have forgotten them.
True.
So you can do better than that.
Chocolate.
You can. Chocolate is not bad, but chocolate is a lazy gift because everyone. I'm helping you, Lonwabo.
Okay.
You need a wife one day, maybe, or a partner, right? If you buy anyone chocolate or wine, they know you've been lazy. If they don't know, they haven't been around.
So
they don't know.
What's your advice?
Don't buy chocolate or wine. Come on, that one, we know you've been lazy, you just buy it. Figure out what they're passionate about and get them that thing. Even if it's food, you see, you're saying chocolate, I'm thinking knickknacks and Doritos. Can you see what?
Okay.
You went for sugar, I'm going for salt. Can you see what I'm saying? So even if it's as small as food, you could buy knickknacks and Doritos. They'll cost cheaper than a chocolate, a Swiss chocolate, right? But then I'll be happy. Do you see what I mean? So find out what you're passionate about. Do that.
All right, fantastic, Prof. Thank you so much. This was amazing. Cheers.
Okay, have a good day, Lonwabo.
You too. Actually, on the 29th of November, I'm not sure if you will be busy. It's a Sunday. At Workshop 17, I'll be delivering a TEDx Cape Town speech.
Nice.
In the morning. So I'm not sure if you'll be busy, but if you're not, please come through.
I will look at my diary. Maybe, who knows? You just never know.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Lonwabo. Bye-bye.
Bye.